Alright, if you've been partying in Barcelona, you can tell that the club culture is mad and techno has been bubbling for a while. I was able to get some exclusive insights from the Barcelona scene in my last conversation with Argentinian artist Flug, aka Sebastián López. Born in Buenos Aires, Flug moved to Argentina at the age of 18, where he developed his already existing sense for house music and techno. Living in Barcelona, Ibiza and Madrid gave him a perspective like none other of what the Spanish techno scene had to offer, making him explore all realms of this genre and making a name for himself as an artist. This conversation with Flug, we covered topics such as his development as an artist, throwing the insert and resonance parties at Razzmatazz, having gigs at raves with tens of thousands of people in Argentina, his latest collaborations with Dubfire, and much, much more. It was interesting to understand so many different aspects of the Argentinian music scene, how it's influenced by his brother Gustavo López from Urban Groove, and what running his label Existentia Musik means to him. Buckle up, boys and girls, because this one will knock your socks off. Anywhere Assault, gnarliest podcast in the world, and today we've got the one and only Flug, very expected man, been a fan of yours for quite a while, Sebastián López. So it's nice to finally meet you. It'd be better if we were meeting in real life, but I guess this is the best we've got for the time being. So how you doing, man?
I'm good, man. I'm pretty good actually, and it's like a weird period of this life, but it's like for me, it's like quite good right now.
All right. So why don't we just dive into it and like address the elephant in the room, basically. So I know this is a hateful question, you know what I'm saying, but like, what has COVID been like for someone that dedicates their life to being an artist like yourself, and that gets inspiration from traveling, from being outdoors, and from having real life experiences?
Well, COVID of course affect our profession really much. I mean, we are not working. I'm not working since almost a year right now. I mean, I'm not working. I'm not playing. I'm not having gigs. And yes, it was kind of weird in the beginning, but then you used to. It's like that it's a period that you need to pass through, and things gonna be normal again for me really soon. So especially for me, it was like a really nice period. I can have a forced stop, like it was like I've been traveling the last 10 years a lot, and this stop make me rebuild many things in my mind and in my life, in my career. So I think it was a good thing for me, especially it was like a necessary stop that you don't realize when you are in the like willing, like every day with things and things and things and things, and you don't think about it. But then when you have this nice period to think in all the things that you are running and you are it's happening around your life, yep. It's a good moment to stop and be quiet and see what is good, what is not good for you. So yeah, definitely was a weird period, but for me was a really, really necessary and really good.
Right, nice. So it's been like basically a period of reflection for you. You're obviously an established artist. You've got your own parties in Barcelona that you host and stuff like that. So I guess maybe from that perspective, where you've maybe been pushing through all those years, producing, throwing parties, organizing, traveling, going to festivals. Right now that you've reached that level, that you're established, like I can understand that it's nice to have a year to grasp that perspective, you know?
It's hard. Honestly, it's hard. It's still hard because you are used to work. I'm involved in several projects, and not only music. I had the club, I had the label, I have many different things running in my life. I have the family too. That is like an important thing.
It's a good project, yeah.
Yeah. So there is so many things that when you are, I mean, in this world, running and running and running, in the end, you know, you are used to, but definitely, again, was a really good moment for me on this perspective that you say, like reflection. And I can stop and think about all the things, what is good, what is not good, what I can change to be better, to make this more profitable, make this more happy for me, you know, like
Yep.
It was a really good period for that.
All right, that's nice to hear, man. I've heard from, you know, I've heard all kinds of experiences, you know, throughout COVID. Some artists, you know, being mostly like extremely depressed and not being able to produce because they're not motivated. But then I've also heard, you know, quite a few artists, you know, jumping into experimentation, like with productions and stuff like that. Do you feel like, well, you've released a couple projects during the pandemic era. Well, one of them, maybe one of the biggest ones, is your project on the Hot Steel compilation on Nina Kravitz's label, which was released July, I think, last year. So you know, in relation to this, how do you feel, you know, that you've experimented with your productions? Has it helped you? You know,
for me, it was no different. Maybe the first month I was like worried about the situation, like everybody, because we never experiment a situation like this. So the first month, maybe it was like maybe losing, you know, the vibe. I mean, not only in production, in life, you know, it was like, what the fuck is happening here? I'm really positive person and I'm like fast going forward, you know. I never been stuck in my life too much, you know. I'm not a depressive people. I'm more than energetic and quite positive. So in some point, for me, mostly of the time I'm a daily guy. I'm not more into the night, only my gigs, but I'm not producing on night so much, you know. So I don't spend a night and entire night in my studio. I'm quite daily person. So in some point I'm honestly, I have a really good time, especially in the studio, in the workflow here, having the time and not having the pressure to get gigs, to fly, to manage anything. You only can do music, you know? So that's pretty amazing when you have a busy life. If you can only spend the whole day on making music, make you really, I mean, for me, it was like I'm involved in several projects since the pandemic, with different guys, with different friends, with making many different stuff into the music, because it's what I feel the most, you know.
Right. Yeah, no, I've definitely seen that. Like, for instance, this kind of podcast you've launched with DJ Mag Spain, which is called, what was the podcast called? You did the Truncate and Dubfire interview, Confined, isn't it?
Confined, yeah.
Confined.
It was like a short project, honestly. When the pandemic started and I was in home, like seeing around the the walls and what the fuck is happening here. I can move from my home and I was like, okay, I want to talk with some of my friends in the industry. And we did like 2 episodes only because honestly then we are able to go out again. And I was not really into stay doing interviews because it's not my thing, honestly. But it was a good point in that moment to talk with friends and just record them. So I recorded, and then I had the recorders, and I sent it to DJ Mag, and they want to publish it, and that's all. And it was a thing that I never did before. One more in this strange period, you know.
Right. Yeah. No, I think it was quite an interesting concept, you know, because for you know, the thing is, you know, I listened to the Truncate one actually, and he was like, oh, I haven't been, you know, being productive in the last weeks and stuff like that, and I guess that's like basically like a year ago or something like that. But you know, Truncate maybe doesn't have, you know, that pressure of, you know, having to be so productive and stuff like that because he's so established. But for, you know, other underground artists, it can also give them, you know, a nice perspective on, you know, it's all right if you can't be extremely productive and motivated every single day. You know what I'm saying?
I'm sorry, but I think everybody have depression anyway.
Yeah.
And I mean, maybe some of the established artists, as you call, they have, you know, a better present, and they don't need it. But in the end, yes, you need it, you know, because otherwise your name will be like lost in the middle of this crazy stuff that is happening right now. Right. So I think even big names need some attention in different kind of perspective. I need to. Voy a atender el timbre que
right, yeah,
de tocar.
Claro,
Ahora
claro.
vengo.
Vale, perfecto.
Un segundo, que me llegó un paquete de Amazon.
No te preocupes, tío, no te preocupes.
Perdón.
Nada, tío, no te preocupes. Le he vuelto a dar al recording, así que tenemos ahora media hora.
Perfecto.
Ya llevamos sus 15 minutos.
Okay.
All right. So, okay. So we were talking about your projects, you know, that you've released through COVID at the beginning. So you've also launched a label, Existentia Musik, and also released a project through your newly founded label, the Body Tales EP. So could you tell me a little bit about the concept behind this newly founded label by yourself, and is the sound going to be marked by this first EP that you released?
Yes, exactly. The label is called Existentia. The concept behind the label is like I need a platform for release my music, because since I release so many in so many labels, different labels, I need a platform that it's mine, that I can release maybe tracks that I don't gonna release in other labels because it's more personal. I mean, um, and also because I always been dealing with this since long time, and I never had the time to do it, or never had the, I mean, to have a label. I think it's not only just release some tracks and let it go on Beatport or something like that. It's like, for me, it's like something that you need to build in some point from the really beginning. And especially for me, that I really like to do also graphic arts, and also some videos and all those kind of things, not only music and stuff. I really want to do it by myself, logo and all the artworks, the image of the label. I wanna do it by my own. So
Right.
definitely this time was the perfect period for this.
Yep. All right. Understood. So, you said that the label, is essentially maybe for your most personal projects or projects that you wouldn't be maybe that comfortable releasing through a label. But what about, giving exposure to maybe, you live in Barcelona, right? So the techno scene in Barcelona, I see that you've collaborated with quite a few artists from Barcelona.
Mm.
I don't know, Drama Barcelona, for instance. I've seen that you've done like a live stream with them and stuff like that. So, do you also see this label as, a platform for giving, more underground artists maybe like a bigger platform, to expose their music?
I mean, it's in my original idea to release more artists. I think this is your question, right?
Yeah, yeah,
This is part of the future project of the label. Probably this year gonna release only one more EP, because I wanna do it like really special. Not I don't wanna have like a supermarket label, and releasing music every fucking months. It's something that I'm not able to do. Not only because time, it's also because I'm not really into that kind of things.
right,
So my idea is probably in 2022 to do maybe 6 releases in a year, like one every 2 months.
right,
And maybe I gonna introduce new artists or established artist friends that I wanna do collaborations or whatever.
right.
But it is a project that I'm building in my mind right now. I have the second release of the label done. I think it's gonna be released in the end of the year,
Hmm.
something between September and October, because I have another several releases coming out now in the next months. So I think I'm gonna release it in the end of the year.
Hmm.
But then I want to start with this new project. I mean, with the same project, but including more new artists and friends in the beginning of 2022.
Right, understood. So, this second release is going to be is going to be you, like on the label, is it's going to be you?
100% me. Yeah,
All right.
it will be like a first release, 4-track release with for originals that it's almost in the same line that the tracks before. So yeah, it's definitely my thing.
All right, understood. Okay, so lastly, I also wanted to talk about this dream interpretation song, or your remix for Kazuya Nagaya, if I'm pronouncing that right. So how did that come about? Because that's kind of out of the ordinary a little bit for you, isn't it? Like it's kind of a little bit out of your style, or correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, actually, I really love ambient music. You can hear it in my first album, a few ambient tracks, and also in a few quiet albums, EPs that I release. Always I add sometimes some down tempo or more introspective music. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So what I can say about this is like when I met for first time Ali Dubfire, he asked me if I'm up to do a remix for his label, and he have a big project coming out soon, and it was like with also another artist that I really liked, like Brill or Marcus Sukut or even him. So I was like super up to do it. And when I listened to the music, I was in love in the first moment, because the album it's amazing. Kazuya is like a really talented musician from Japan, and it's like really, 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 really talented. And the music is amazing, and it's almost organic, you know. So definitely, when I listen, I say like, okay, I want to do something. And then when I started the project, I did like two different remixes, because the first one was like really fast. I did really fast, and it was an acid interpretation of the track with a really 4/4 kick drum. But then I want to do something more experimental, because I really feel it. Yep. So I did the other version, and I sent both of them to Ali, and Ali told me, man, I love both of them. I'm gonna release both of them. So yeah, that's how happened.
Right, nice. Yeah, just had a little problem with the camera back there. I ran out of battery. That's crazy because it was fully charged, but
okay.
I don't understand the I don't understand, but anyways, doesn't matter. Yeah, so I'm sorry for that. But
You solve it. ¿Lo arreglaste?
I'm sorry, ¿qué?
If se lo arreglaste.
Es que, tío, no sé qué, o sea, sinceramente, vamos a hablar, claro, no sé qué cojones le ha pasado, tío, que estaba al 100% de batería y de repente me ha empezado a salir eso y yo, pero que, o sea,
a veces se joden las baterías, sí.
La llevo cargando como 4 horas, pero bueno.
Joder.
No sé qué cojones le habrá pasado, tío.
Pasa,
pues nada,
pasa.
Tío, seguimos así y ya está. All right. Okay. So let's move forward, with your upbringing, because you have actually been brought up in, or were born in Argentina and moved to Spain when you were 18, 19, I guess?
Yeah, 18, actually.
18. Right. So obviously, got a little bit of a background on you with, your brother, Gustavo López, part of this collective, Urban Groove Collective in Argentina, being a pretty big artist, and which I've seen interviews by you where you say that you were exposed to this kind of music production and stuff like that from a young age. So could you tell me a little bit about what were your first influences? Which were the first records that you had, that you played, and how you started, mixing? Was it with vinyls? Was it digital?
Well, I actually, first records that I listen, and the first record that I have memory, it was more on the disco vibe, like Gino Socchio and Giorgio Moroder and that kind of Italian disco music that I was like, all the whole family was involved into it, so I listened a lot of disco music in the beginning of my life. Then we jumped into the more like into the pop, like dark pop, actually, like The Cure, the Depeche Mode, those kind of influences. I was like really influenced by that music in my early 12, 13. I was like listening a lot of that kind of music. But then I jumped directly into techno. So if I can tell you an album that really, really love it when I was like 15, it was Orbital. I don't remember the name of the album, but it was a brown one that I have it in CD, and I remember that I played that CD every day going through the school, because I have to take a bus to the school, so I was listening to that album every day. And then also maybe Prodigy also was kind of one of my favorite bands at the moment. Of course, a big influence was Affect Twin and Moby. Both of them were like really big influences for me in when I was young. And then if we talk about more, when I started to produce, I was really influenced by Emmanuel Top. It's a French artist that it was doing like acid techno in the beginning of the 90 of sorry, not beginning, but 95, 96, they were like doing already like techno music. And it was like one of my favorite artists in this from Belgium and France, and then from America, also from United States. I was really influenced by, I don't know, maybe Robert Armani, or Green Velvet, Juan Atkins, of course, and Robert Hood, Shep Mills, and of course, 100% Richie Howdy.
Right. So very Detroit oriented, US oriented, I guess. Like, it's funny. I've heard quite a few people, quite a few artists. I don't know if you probably know the Horrorist, Oliver Chesler.
Yeah, of course.
Of course, he was also a massive Depeche Mode fan, apparently. I think I've heard other people say that as well.
You can hear it in his music, 100%. I mean, I play with him a few times, and he's like his performance is amazing, man. It's really, really, really powerful.
100%. Where have you played with him?
Lehman Club.
All right.
In Stuttgart,
right.
in Germany.
Okay.
And I play with him also. What it was the other gig. I think it was something in London. I don't remember if it was Corsica Studios or something like that. I remember that I played twice with him, or Italy. I don't remember, honestly.
Too many gigs, man.
I remember once of the time was Lehman Club.
Right.
Lehman in Stuttgart.
Okay. Right. I've only seen them perform once, actually, at the Griesmühle, and here in Berlin. I'll also ask you about the Griesmühle, because I know that you've also had gigs there, and it's one of my favorite clubs. So I wanted to ask you about that. But anyways, let's stick to the topic for the time being. So okay, so you say that you started out with like 80s disco music. Then a little bit, transition into Depeche Mode and all of the Detroit, basically techno scene and stuff like that. So, when did you start, listening to more European tech?
Well, it was at the same time, huh?
Right.
I mean, I've been more influenced for the American artists because it was close to Argentina. I mean, it was more easy to find American records in Argentina than the European records. But anyway, we have a lot of European records too. So, I mean, I did not really 100% involved on the electronic techno scene in Europe in the early 90s. It was more than, for me, it was more than the American. But I was also involved on the new beat new beat music, and it was Belgium 100%. You know,
Right.
and that was after acid house and before acid house.
Right.
And the new beat also was. We have a lot of records of new beats in home, and I didn't like it a lot. I like it, but it was influenced too for that kind of music. It was more Belgian music.
Right.
And then acid house was massive, and also been in between US and Europe. After that, it's more become a techno scene for me. But yeah, it always was like in between US and Europe. I can tell you that on my music, I took the shuffle groovy part of the American techno DJs, and then the darkness from the Europe part. So that's why my music is in between techno, house, and there is always some groups there. There is not only straightforward techno. It's always like a kind of groovy behind, because it's also part of my youngness, you know, like what I from where I learned.
Yeah, I've actually heard you say that in an interview, that you don't really love the extremely dark stuff, but you always introduce, you know, that groove element into your music while still having, you know, being, you know, maintaining that darkness element, or however you want to call it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I love dark music. That's something that not. I love music everywhere.
Yep.
Actually, I think there is no music that I can hear. You know, it's like I'm really open for music. You know, it's good music and bad music always, but there is like so much talented guys into all the world music scene that that it's not really important if it's more dark or more happy. I mean, if it's good, it's good, and that's all.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. No, but I did find interesting that you mentioned, you know, that you always like to, you know, keep that groovy kind of element in your music. You know, it's part of your, you know, your development, I guess, and also your influences as an artist. So, this leads me basically to the question, like, what was the we were talking about the 90s, right? Because you were growing up around that era. So what was the techno scene in Argentina like in the 90s? Because, well, in Spain it was massive, in Italy, in Europe, you know, Germany, obviously it was massive. What was it like in Argentina?
Well, Argentina was like an underground scene. It wasn't so big, actually, with exceptions. You know, like um, I mean, in the early 90s, I was really young. So I don't start to go out until, I will say, like 96, 95, 96, when I was 14. I started to go out on clubs and joining my brother on his parties and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. But I mean, from that time till 99 was like the development of the scene, especially for techno scene. So there were quite really good clubs that you can hear techno or house music. But it was a small scene. I mean, we were talking about 1,000, 1,200, maybe 2,000 people, that maximum, okay? Yep. But mostly of the places was like 500 small clubs, you know what I mean? And in the 1998, the end of 1998, I mean, I can say beginning of 1992, they started to do raves. And and the first rave was like something like 2,000. Third rave was 3,000, and one day we have a rave for 100,000. You know, in daily, like a low parade in Buenos Aires.
All right. Okay.
Not like a low parade. It was less
Rave
people,
parade.
but it was in the same way.
Yeah.
It was the spring day that we call.
Yeah.
And it was called it Energy Parade. It was a radio show there that it was called it Energy. It was an entire radio that they play only electronic music, and they managed this party in Palermo. It was in the center city, and they renewed it like 100,000 people. It was amazing. I remember I have the pleasure to play there, and I was like 17 or something like that, and it was like, what the fuck, you know, was one of my first gigs, and it was like overwhelmed, you know, about the thing. And then they have like different raves that were in between 20, 15, 30,000 people, and
wow.
that was already massive, you know. And then after 2000, it's changed it a lot. I mean, the country also being more open for this kind of parties. So Creamfields starts, and Creamfields was for, I don't know, maybe it was 2 or 3 days, I don't remember, but it was like 20,000 people every day or 30,000 people every day. So it was like a lot of people attending those kind of raves. So in the end, after 2000s, it was like mostly similar to Europe, South America, I mean.
Well, that's crazy with that 100,000 people to even 20,000 people rave. I've never even heard of anything of that, you know, magnitude. It's crazy. I didn't know that was going on. And
yeah, for sure. Also in Brazil, they have a really big rave called the Skull Beats, that it was massive also. Chile was also doing Creamfields, and there is a few countries in South America that they did like big raves in the beginning of the 2000s. I mean, oh, I lose your audio. I didn't hear you. Don't hear you. I don't hear you. Now, yeah.
Yeah. So, how, you know, how did that get stopped? That kind of movement, like what happened in the 2000s?
Well, it was a progression. I mean, in the beginning of the 90s, this started to, you know, to grow, and you know, it was like a snowball. It started small, but then it was big, and then the radios appear. I don't know. They started to book international acts like, I don't know, Deep Dish or Richie Houghton or Lauren Garnier. I remember the first time I listened to Richie Houghton, I was 18 or 17, something like that. Right. And it was a small party for, I don't know, 700, 500 people. And he played the show Decks and Effects. It was amazing. I was like completely overwhelmed about what this guy do that day. And actually, that day I decided that it was one of the days that I decided that I gonna 100% do music. You know, was super inspiring for me.
All right. Have you met Richie Houghton at all?
Never ever. I mean, I know he knows me because he plays my tracks really often, and we have friends in common, and sometimes friends in common send photos to him about us, and he says in regards or something like that, but I never met personally. And it's like something that I really want to do, because for me it was a big influence in the early 90s.
Yeah, man, that would be super interesting to meeting him, and I guess he's probably been like that for quite a few artists, you know, other than you.
Yeah, of course,
Super interesting. What do you think of Plastic Man? Like the difference between Richie Hawtin and Plastic Man?
When I'm pretty fan of Plastic Man more than Richie Hawtin, honestly. Right. I mean, for me was Plastic Man in the beginning of the 90s when, or in the end of the 90s when I listened to Spastic, for example, or Orange, the Minus Orange. That was after, but I mean, it was a mind-blowing thing in the beginning. Richie Hawtin, for I think for a whole generation, you know. Right. And for me, it was always a guy who it's a step forward, you know. I don't know. I really love Plastic Man, man. It's like I'm a huge fan.
Yeah, 100%. I think apparently he got that name after an LSD trip where he saw himself, you know, as plastic or something like that, and that's what basically gave them the name Plastic Man. Don't know if you knew that.
But also they have this name Fuse and so many different AKAs in the early 90s. He released a lot of music. Even he released Acid House in the beginning, and amazing, man. It's like a complete artist for me. You know, it's like a complete artist.
No, 100%. But I mean that like the name Plastic Man he got because
the name,
like he took like acid or LSD. And saw himself, you know, as plastic. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's nice.
That's what I've heard.
That's nice. That's nice. And I didn't know it about it.
I hope that's true, actually.
Okay.
All right. Okay. So interesting, man. So basically you moved to. Well, I also saw that you know used to sneak out of home in the morning, telling your parents that you're going to play football. And you're actually going to a rave and stuff like that. So there was like a little time period where you had to, you know, trick your parents because you were too young, you know, to leave and stuff like that.
Problem was I have a brother that is a DJ too, and always was a pain in the ass for my parents, because my parents, they didn't have the chance to have a degree or study. They come to Argentina when they were really young, and they must work, you know, and no time to study. So we didn't have a rich family, but we have the possibility to study, you know. And my brother was the first child, and for my parents was like a big pain for them that he didn't finalize the school even, you know. It was he left the school really young, and he moved through the music, and he don't give it a shit, and well, for my parents were like a big pain. So with me was like I have like the way through is easier in some point, but in other point, especially when I was 14, 15, that in the school, and luckily I was like a good student. I have no problems in the school like my brother. My brother doesn't like the school. For me, the school was something fun, actually, and I enjoyed it, you know. And I go to school like it wasn't a problem for me. And even I don't study, but I have a good numbers in the test and all this shit. And in the end, my parents were happy with that, but they don't wanna me involved in the music scene, because they think, or they told that they are gonna lose the study thing, you know. So they don't wanna lose me, That's the truth. So I need to say to my mom, like, "Oh, mom, I'm sorry, but I have a match today, and I'm gonna play somewhere in the other part of the city."
Yeah.
And I put all my ravey clothes in the bag, and I took the bus, and I changed my clothes in the bus in the early morning, and I go to an after hour.
Respect, man. Like, you have to do what you've got to do, don't you?
Yeah, exactly. I love party, man. It's what it is.
Right. No, that's a funny story, man. Okay, so I also saw that you first started out as a duo, right, called Equinoccio.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, nice. Good job.
Yeah. So could you tell me a little bit about, how this started out and why you guys haven't really released any music, who it was with and stuff like that?
Look, this is simply when I start to attending the parties. My brother, he don't want me like involved in the music business if I don't feel it. So he don't want to teach me nothing, and he don't want to put the field easy for me. You know what I mean? Right. It was like, if you want it, you need to earn it. So that was the reason why I don't start playing music, just making music.
All right.
So my parents bought a computer for me for the school and for all this stuff. And when the computer comes, the first thing that I did, it was install a program to make music.
Yeah.
And across video games, of course, because I was young. I was like in between 13 and 14. Mm-hmm. So I installed video games and music. But then I was really more involved in the music. So I started to buy some instruments too. And we have my brother have a friend who have also a brother who was almost the same age than I. He was a little bit older than I, like 3 years or something like that. So he was a hairdresser, and he already earned money, so he can buy better machines. And I started to make music with him, with my machines and his machines, and we started, and was like really nice in the beginning, and we started to make music. And the problem in that moment, it wasn't really easy to release music. As you say, we didn't release music because in that moment you can only release music on vinyl.
Yeah.
CD wasn't a thing yet, and actually it was really hard to press the CDs too, So it wasn't easy to release the music. No, not like today that you have a digital thing or whatever. So the thing was, we did like, I don't know, 10, 15 tracks, and we started touring live. But I was traveling with my computer, you know what I mean? The computer with the monitor and the mixer, a big mixer with and we were maybe sometimes in the bus, the public bus, traveling with all those machines to did a show in the other city. Yeah. So it was like crazy times, crazy, but I learned a lot. And then one day I realized that I know how to mix, because if anyway I have decks in my home from the really beginning of my life, actually. Yeah. Because when I born, my brother already had decks at home. So because he was 14 and he already was experimenting with the of course it wasn't a Technics, it was like a Lenko or something like that. It was like the really beginning, and they used to match the beat with a small piece of wood that they put in just in the space in between the deck and the wheel,
Right.
and they put this kind of wood for stop the vinyls.
Oh, right.
You know, to make like slow or
right.
to make it slow actually.
Yeah.
So I really know how to mix since I'm really young. But then I was a period that my brother left my home and with all the equipment, so I don't have equipment at home, and that was like 5 years, and it was in between 10 and 14. So one day I went to my brother's house when I already make music with this guy, and I took 2 vinyls and I played the vinyls, and it was super easy to me to beat match it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So then I was interested to DJing, right. But it wasn't my thing in the beginning. It was more the musician thing, and then I start to play vinyls too. So it was, the thing was, first was the music thing and then the DJ thing. Right. And with this guy, we broke the band in around 98 or 99 when I already was thinking to move to Spain. Right. So we finished.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So that was the reason why you guys finished the band.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. You know, that's also quite interesting that you mentioned that, because normally people start out, you know, mixing vinyls and then transition into producing, but in your case, it was the other way around. And also, like, were you guys doing live sets, like live sets?
100% live. Actually, we play with the machines there. There wasn't like even we having a sequencer, because I used to play with the computer. In the computer, I have the Revere 308, I think it was. The Revere, it was like 909, 808, 303, 303. It was software that used like a replica of 909, a replica of 808, and 2 replicas of 303. Then you have like a filter, a distortion, delay, and that's all, you know. And then I realized that you can change the samples of the drum machines and make moods. So I started to do moods for that machine, and actually quite often moods were really famous in that moment. And many people were like downloading from the internet, you know. Oh, it wasn't easy to find actually, and I lose all those things. I don't know where maybe in an old CD in my backup there I can find something, but honestly it was so much long time ago, you know. So right. Yeah.
You know, that'd be interesting for you to find. Maybe you could do a compilation with that old stuff.
I would love to find music from that moment with my friend, but we lose all the music. We were young and we don't record it. We don't think about it. Awesome. But I would love to have some of those CDs with all my music from that moment. It will be amazing, but we lose all the masters. I mean,
yeah. Oh shit. Maybe you'll still find them, man.
Yeah.
All right. So basically, you've got this group with this other guy. It's called Equinoxio. You guys break up because you're moving to Spain. So you move to Spain. You know, when does, you know, the concept of Flug start, or you as a solo artist, you know, start moving around the underground scene in Barcelona, I guess?
The thing that when we're running Equinoxio, I also was running another name that I had before, that it was Junior Lopez. Oh, yeah. Junior Lopez, it was my house alias, you know, and it was a period in between 98, 99, until 2010 or something like that. Actually, I was running Junior Lopez and Flug together for a quite almost 3 or 4 years. I mean, because when I left Argentina, I was more into the house music, and I moved to Spain, and it was perfect because in Spain in that moment it was like the Iberian sound was like a big thing here. So also the minimal, but the minimal house more than Perlon stuff and Ricardo, Luciano, but in the really beginning when they do like more minimal house and especially Luciano. And I know them from Argentina. We used to play together here in Europe with those acas with my brother. So in the end was I was really connected into the house music stuff. So one day I realized that I was playing house music with really intention, techno intention, you know what I mean?
Right.
So I started to produce techno again. And when I had like 10 tracks, one day we were at home just with friends, and I started to show them the music, and I tell them that, okay, this is a new project that I'm building. I'm not sure. I don't want to release as Junior Lopez because it's no sense, because I want to do like something special for this. We were like just laughing here about the name, and one of them say, okay, your music is always something flighty, something like flight, something is like a trip, you know. So we use the word flight in Google Translate, and we start to like trying in different languages, and finally we found Flug in German, and we love it. And I just write Flug and the name of the track, and then I released the track as Flug. And in the beginning was like a test, but then the track works really well, and I say, okay, so maybe I need to continue with this name. And I like it because it was short, and it was like easy to say it in English and Spanish, you know, it's the same word.
Yep.
In German, of course. So it was cool to translate in every single language. So I keep it, and that was the story of the moving around house techno, you know.
Right. So that happened in Spain once you had moved to Spain, right?
Yeah, exactly. I lived a few months in Ibiza in 2001.
Yep.
And then I moved to Madrid, and I stayed in Madrid for 3 years. And then in 2004, I moved to Barcelona again. And I'm living in Barcelona since 2004.
All right. Okay. So you get to Spain, you know, and you see, you know, these different techno scenes, each one of them, you know, like you said, Ibiza, you know, Madrid, you know, Gijón, maybe like with Pole Group, Oscar Mulero, and then Barcelona, you know. So how do you feel, you know, which sounds were you attracted to when you got to Spain? What impressed you? What hadn't you seen maybe in Argentina?
Well, when I moved to Spain, I was really into house music, like West Coast house music, or UK house, but more with the USA influence, I will say. I mean, it was more like a funky. It was super funky house, and I love that. I'm still loving to play funky groups, you know. And then I was like more involved into the minimal techno in that moment, and I was like really impressed by that sound in the early 2000. I would say 5, 6, 7, and I start to play more techno again, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I go always move forward in between house and techno, because before, you don't need to play only one kind of music. You were like a local DJ. If you were a local DJ, you start the night, you close the night almost always.
Yep.
And so you start to playing house music and then finish with techno. So I'm always been involved in both sides of the music.
Yep.
And I always loved the good music, So for me, it's exactly the same house, techno. When people it's talking about music like religion, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
I feel really annoying, because for me, music is music. Is that is all. Today we're working in an electro track that I'm working for a nice label, and actually it's like, why really electro, and I'm still loving that kind of music too.
Yeah.
I'm not close to do anything, because what I love is music. I don't feel that an artist is wrong if they follow what they like, that's exactly what I want to do. I want to follow what I like. Yep. If in 2 years maybe I feel in love again with the house music, why not? It's like there is not religions there. This is what an artist expect when the feelings come. When the feeling is come, you can fight with that. Just because somebody tell you that you can't because you are established techno guy. Yeah, you know what I mean? I don't believe in that. I believe in good music, bad music, and your feelings. That's exactly what I want.
100%. And I think it's the only way, for an artist to actually grow, and develop their style, because if you're only, categorized as a techno artist, you want to try ambient or, I don't know, trance or house or some other stuff, well, you're basically limited in a stupid way, you know what I'm saying? So 100% agree with you in that. So okay, so basically, when you get to Spain, you start playing gigs and stuff like that. So could you talk to me a little bit about this era? What was, these beginnings? Like where'd you find support? What was more difficult? And how did you manage, to make a name for yourself in the underground Barcelona, Spain scene?
Well, in the beginning, of course, was super hard, especially in Madrid. I was like working for a label. We've been created a label there with a friend from Argentina, who is also my mentor. It's one of my mentors, that is Diego Cid, and we were there working on a label was calling Luxury Groups, and we did a lot of records there, like more than 30 or 40 vinyls in 3 years or 4 years that we were together there. And in the beginning was hard. Honestly, I feel like it will be hard to play again in the same way that I was playing in Argentina. Because when I left Argentina, I was really young, but I was really well connected. So I was already playing, maybe not every weekend, but almost every weekend.
Right.
And then when I arrived here, it was completely different, because it was hard to get bookings and blah blah blah. But then I started to travel to Barcelona, and I feel really connected with the city from the really beginning. And we have also a mentor here. I must name it here, because he was the one who opened my doors, almost my doors here. It was called DJ. It was called Elfo. We call it Elfo. And he was like, Edu was the guy who opened me doors here in Barcelona to start to moving around and start to play. Right. And once I get into the big clubs like City Hall, I easily start to play everywhere here in Barcelona. Mm-hmm. And everywhere they open the doors, and I was like playing every week as Junior Lopez, and I have a really, really nice present in that moment. We were talking about 2003, 4, 5, 6, were like years that I was traveling in between South America and Spain. I wasn't play a lot in Europe yet, like a few countries, like I don't know. I did a few gigs in France, a few gigs in Germany, but not really. It wasn't a thing that I did like in the past 10 years, right? Yeah. So definitely when I made the transition in between Junior Lopez to Flug was like a couple of years in between 2012, in between 10 and 12, I mean, 2010 and 2012, when Junior Lopez is coming down in the end of 2008 or in between 2008 and 2010, the career of Flug was like waving more like this, you know?
Right.
So I started to build this new profile as Flug, because also I think it was natural, you know? It was something that was natural with the flow that I wasn't really enjoyed it to play house gigs every weekend as I did before. So I started to feel more connected with techno music and more and more and more and more and more. And so in 2010, I say, okay, I need to finish this. And I closed all the profiles from Junior Lopez.
Right.
And I started from zero again. And in 2 years, I built the strong how to say in English, the strong stone of the beginning of the Flug name, you know.
Yep.
So
like the stuff.
Yeah, exactly. I mean the base, you know,
exactly.
a solid base.
Yeah.
And we did. We started to work with labels like Sleaze Records. My good friends from Sleaze Records opened the label for me, and I started to release like a few releases there. And after a few releases there, Chris Lieber started to play my music. And once here in Barcelona, it was Sonar, I think, and he was playing that day, and I bring him a stick with my music, and he just was like, "Oh man, I really been DJing your music. Thank you very much. I really appreciate." And I didn't knew nothing about him for quite long. And one day I listened to his podcast, his CLR podcast, and he told that he was recording the podcast on Berghain, and I listened 3 tracks of mine from that stick, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. And I sent an email like, hey man, thank you very much for this. And he replied me like a few hours after, hey man, I love your stuff. These tracks, I didn't know that it's you. These tracks still unreleased. I want to release it on my label. So we released it on CLR. And after that release, I think was the kickstart. And after that release, everything changed.
Right. So that was this XLR release, 2015, is it?
I think it was 14.
2014. Right.
I think it was 14. Yeah.
Okay. According to Spotify, it's 15, but whatever. You know,
yeah.
You probably know better.
I think it was 14. I'm not really sure.
Maybe it was uploaded to Spotify later. It doesn't matter. Right, interesting, man. You know, and he didn't even know that was your music, as you said.
Sorry,
He didn't know that it was your music, that it was you.
Yeah. He told me that he didn't know that it was my tracks. He found the pen drive on the stick on the on his back, and he was checking the sticks because he told me that he received a lot of sticks every in the shows. Yeah. So he was like playing the music that was in the sticks, and he was like in love those tracks. I have no idea how I named the tracks. Maybe I don't put my name Flug, but it's weird, honestly. Yeah. And he told me like, I didn't know that it was you, and I love the tracks and I want to release it. That was the true story.
Oh, super cool, man. Super good, cool story with that project. So, okay, so coming back, to the techno scene in Barcelona, like, what was it like in the 2000s up to now? Could you give us like a little break? I know it's maybe a lot, to just give us a summary about, but like, what was it like from the beginning of the 2000s until now, basically? How does the sound evolve, and stuff like that?
It was a long period that Barcelona haven't. I mean, you always have clubs that book techno DJs, as Razzmatazz and Moog, yeah. And also you can say Apollo. Those three clubs always been doing techno bookings since I'm in Barcelona. Right. But the truth is that in a period like from, let's say, 2008 and 2000, even nowadays, they don't book they didn't have a night that it's only techno, All
right.
Because you can go a Friday at Razzmatazz and listen in the loft, a house DJ, and next Friday you can go there and listen to a techno DJ. Right. So for me, and exactly the same in the Apollo. For me, this is something that don't build the vibe, I mean, no. I contradict myself in this thing, but unfortunately, people don't think as musicians think, and. Right. Mostly of the people think about music as a religion, Mm-hmm. So if it's a place who is like a more like mixed styles, they didn't feel that place as a house.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. Yep.
So I can tell you that Moog probably is the only place that you can feel that techno family, what I mean, right? In that moment, that moment. So in that moment, I was like finalizing my Junior Lopez project, and I was more into the Flug 100%. Yep. And exactly in that moment appears two persons in my life that we were in the same vibe, that we want to do like a club, mm-hmm. But yep. A techno club, 100% techno club, and something that happened every week, and something that it's not usual.
Yep.
So we decided to do the party on Sundays afternoon.
Right.
Okay.
Afternoon. Is that
Sundays?
Insert?
Exactly.
Insert.
Exactly. Right. So we start this project, call it Insert, and that moment, nobody risked €1 for techno music. You know what I mean? It was like nobody wants to risk, nobody wants to do anything related with techno music. Big clubs don't support the music, don't think the techno music was a thing in that moment. And we started really big way.
Yeah.
With a really big bookings and really nice artworks and everything really with a lot of detail. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And the truth is, like, the first 2 years were like a nightmare, but economic nightmare, but it was an amazing party, man. I can tell you that it was the best party that I played in Barcelona for far.
Right.
Because it was like people who is going only to listen to techno music with a really open mind.
Yeah.
And it was like I was like really trying to involve new talents in the city, not only big names.
Yep.
Also talents from the city, talents that were working into the techno business.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, it wasn't hard. It was hard in that moment because no many DJs were playing techno at that moment. All the DJs, all the local DJs in Barcelona were more involved into tech house or all kind of stuff. Many of the techno DJs of today were more into the tech house stuff.
Right.
So yeah, was like really hard in the beginning, but then we finally did it, you know, and we had the attention of Razzmatazz, and they offered to be partners of us. Right. And we continue the party on Razzmatazz every Sunday, and then we did the bass. We did the solid bass for that project. And I think in between 18, 19, we were the top.
Right.
And we were like really, really, really well named for techno music parties in Barcelona.
Right.
Many collectives from here start to do techno parties because insert, you know what I mean?
Yeah. You basically influenced the
yeah, exactly. I'm really proud about that because I think we open a window there.
Right.
We open eyes, you know, and that's exactly what we want to do. And actually the name Insert was because we want to insert techno here in Barcelona.
Okay.
So that was exactly what we want to do. One of the partners is a German guy who are really, really techno mentality, and I actually learned a lot from him, from his vision of techno and right. his vision of the things. So yeah, definitely was an amazing project that be part.
Yeah.
Then in the end, we have some partnership problems with one of the partners, and we close Insert, or we left Insert, and we continue in Razzmatazz. Yeah. With right. the German partner and I, we are working on Razzmatazz. Yep. Now we are with Annika Kunz. Also, we are the three of us doing this project, and we still working in Razzmatazz with this new name that's Resonanz.
Right.
And it's exactly the same that Insert actually, okay. But with another name.
Okay, so then the Insert party turned into Resonanz, or does Insert still exist, you know, with Resonanz?
No. Insert it's a brand, and Resonanz is another brand. We continue together with Elmar and Anika, and Insert continue by herself.
All right, understood. Okay, so that's, you know, basically summarizes like the club culture, you know, in Barcelona. So what about the sound, you know, coming out of Barcelona? Because you have loads of artists, you know, you've got artists like Hex Barcelona, you've got artists like Jodon, you've got artists like Vendex, you've got artists like you know, you've got artists like, I don't know if you know, Wachita China, you know, with very, very, very different styles, you know. So could you know, tell me a little bit about the scene in this sense? You know, do you guys, you know, collaborate? Do you guys, you know, go to different parties? You know, what's the scene looking like right now, sound-wise, in Barcelona?
Well, actually, Barcelona right now, it's like I can tell you that we have like a really good relationship in between promoters, like for example, as you mentioned, X or Astra they are friends. They are people who we work together in the past, or we did several things with many of the new promoters. We did several different things. Even there is a promoter who born directly from our club, and we have really close and good relationship with all of them. You know, right. What the music is happening in Barcelona. This moment, it's a crazy moment. So I can tell you what is happening, if it's healthy or not, because in this moment there is no scene. But when this was going to before it's the COVID thing happened, the scene was quite good, actually, quite good, and we have like different kind of parties, different style of technos, as you say. Ex guys doing like the more harder one, us as a more mental groovy techno stuff, Astra doing a mix in between, I don't know, the Bass Valley doing different kind of stuff, more hard, more. I mean, it was a healthy, really healthy techno community in the last, I say, 4 years. Yep. The techno scene grows a lot, you know, really grows. And even, I don't know, even Pacha were doing bookings as, I don't know, Marcel Detman or Ben Clock. I don't know. Nice. All the clubs were really booking techno DJs or techno acts. And the scene were growing and growing and growing. That's what's happening in Barcelona just before the COVID. Right. I don't know how the scene will be after the COVID. I don't know how the clubs will be after the COVID. Honestly, I don't been really in contact with many owners of the clubs lately. We don't have a conversation with Razzmatazz since long time ago. So right. Since we don't see that clubs gonna open soon in Barcelona, almost until the end of the year, I think I don't have a clue what is going to happen when everything is open. Right. I have one clue. What? That the party will be amazing, but that's exactly what I feel like. So when people go into a club with a proper sound system, will be like something else, because everybody is like pissed off with all this situation, you know.
100%, man. That'll definitely be crazy to be in a club and look at the person right next to you and be like, I can't even believe that we're right here right now. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, interesting. So now is when I'm coming back, you know, we talked about the Griesmühle. I also seen that you've had gigs at Katablau and Anomalie here in Berlin. Maybe I'm missing, I think Maze as well, wasn't it? In Mehringdamm here in Berlin. So I wanted to ask you a little bit about, you know, the difference between, or in club culture between Spain and Germany, or what do you feel, you know, are the main differences?
Well, it's a big difference in between Germany and Spain. First of all, because I feel like in Germany, the freedom is different. It's like Germany have a really long music culture about electronic music. I mean, so I think it's all about freedom. And when I jump into the clubs in Berlin, I feel like everybody is freedom and everybody do whatever they want, and they feel like it's like kind of part of his life, you know. Actually, I read a quote like a few weeks ago, or 2 days ago, sorry, that government calls culture culture monuments. It's like
Yeah,
the clubs.
like the clubs are part of the cultural heritage.
Yeah, exactly,
in
exactly.
Germany, yeah.
So first of all, we can talk about that. You know, it's like if your city, your country support that much the clubs and the culture into the clubs,
Yeah.
that means that everybody is involved into the clubs, you know, or everybody almost
Not
know
everyone,
what is happening, what it's there, you know.
no.
But here in Spain, still like manicomio, you know, it's like people don't understand, don't still understand establishment, don't still understand what music culture is. Maybe they know for the classic stuff, but not for electronic music yet. So that's the first thing that I can tell you about the difference in between Spain and Germany on the club culture.
Right. Yeah. I also feel like, well, I was brought up in Valencia, you know, and we also have a club culture there, obviously, and stuff like that. But it's extremely limited in comparison to Berlin, for instance. And I would say not only time-wise, you know, like you've got these clubs here, like Berghain that opens on a Thursday night and closes on a Monday morning. But also, like what I've been told by some people in Germany is that, you know, for instance, Berghain or Griesmühle, basically all the clubs here are like safe spaces for minorities, you know, for maybe the LGBTQ community, for other kinds of minorities that maybe aren't accepted, but necessarily accepted by society. You know what I'm saying? And I have the feeling like it's not like that in Valencia, at least, because I don't know if you know the club Barraca.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah, well, that's not the vibe. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not usually people from minorities, like belonging to the LGBTQ community, for instance, or whatever. You know, it's more like just people that want to go and take drugs. If I'm being totally honest, you know
what I can tell you about that, it's like the the countries from the East North Europe, they are more advanced, you know, on a mental mindset about what LGBT, what black and white, or what there is like really more consciousness about all this stuff, you know. And I think if in some point Spain is still like really fascist in some point in that kind of mindset, you know. So I think that we need more time, especially in Spain, to get naked to a club. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Basically, that's
it will be.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm telling you. That maybe for a, you know, like a really small party that it was planned to, you know, you can go like naked, you know, but there is no happening in any single club around, you know. It must be like something that everybody disagree with, and it's like a private thing, but not really happen on a normal club. And there is not only really happen, it's something that people will look at, you know. It's happened to me the same, for example, with the people who comes from South America, especially the Argentinians. When it's come to the beach in Barcelona, they didn't realize, they didn't believe that all the girls are not dressing the top, so they are on topless, and they was like everybody is on topless, and because in Argentina it's not something usual, you know. So you realize that that's not. But once we incorporate those the things like a natural thing, then the mindset will change, you know. I think the mindset in Spain is still like in the Franco way in some things like LGTB, for example. You know what I mean? There is of course there is some improves from the 70s till now, but honestly, I'm still feeling here like people is like close mind with some stuff. I don't know. Even I don't know if I dress my nails like this. It's like something weird here. You know, it's like this is a joke. It's my daughter doing this for me. But if I dress it because I like it, or if I dress with maybe I want to dress like I don't know, like a dress, you know, one day just because I want, you know. And that's nothing wrong with that, you know. Just your mindset if you feel like it's wrong, you know.
No,
so it's exactly the same.
No, I understand what you mean, and it is true. Like you go to Berghain, for instance, and you're not going to think, oh, why are people naked and stuff like that. It's just, you know, you accept that it's part of the culture, you know.
But even if you come from Spain and you have that mindset that I told you, if you go to Berghain, you will feel and you will see as a normal thing. You know? So you change your mindset because everybody there have a different mindset than yours. So you will be the worst.
Exactly.
If you think different, you know?
Exactly.
So in the end, it's this what is happening in every country, even in other countries. That Germany is a special, man. Germany is like it's advanced in this kind of things, you know. But in other countries, that will be like 100% unacceptable. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it's happening in Paris, you know, with Possession Techno, and it's happening in London, you know, with their whatever the you know, Fold London or whatever. I think it's obviously, you know, a transitional process. Like it's not going to happen from one day to the next. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, like it's I guess it's a generational thing and a cultural thing. Like you said, you know, that Germany has been a democracy for how many years? You know, like
exactly. That's exactly what I will tell you. That it's a different mindset, man. It's because they passed through this nasty thing that it was like crazy, and that's make you change many mindset of your life if you have this kind of stuff related to you. You know, it's like okay, everybody is free to do whatever they want. You know, after so much things happening in Germany in the 40s and blah blah blah, in the 30s actually, it will be like, you know, after that I think everybody have a different mindset.
100%. It's a mind shift, 100%. So pretty interesting what you commented. So this leads me, you know, to the next question, which would basically be, you know, equality in the scene. You know, like it's obvious, you know, the bookings are totally uncomparable between like the booking quotas between men and women. So what's your take on this? What's the problem? What's the solution? What, you know, what's your perspective on this?
Well, first of all, I think it's not only in the music industry the difference between women's and men's, or men's and women's, or whatever you want to call it. It's in every job. It's not only in the music industry. Probably the music industry, it's something that you can see it more easier because you have the flyers and all the stuff. the thing I mean, it's like it was like a not a easy field for women's the music industry in the 90s, especially. I think it was a field that they need to really fight for it, you know. But nowadays, even that still having this problem with the difference in between the amount of DJs booked by festivals on women's and men's, I think it's changing. It's changing and quickly, you know, like I have a lot of females friends who are really playing around, and they are like having really good gigs. Actually, I don't know if it's true, but I'm pretty sure that probably in the top 5 better payer artists in the techno industry in the last couple of years will be like 1 or 2 women for sure, or 3. Sure. So in the end, this is changing a bit and slowly, but it's changing. From my side, I can tell you that always been really inclusive. Actually, in my last compilation on Uncage, I did a compilation of various. I did a various artists with several producer friends, and I include almost the same amount of women that men's. Right. I mean, I had there like Claudia Gaula, Sin Soleil, Black Lotus, Dynamite, Anika Kunst, Indira Paganotto, who else? Paula Casenave. I want to involve almost the same quantity of men's and women's. I did not do advertising about this because I think it's a wrong way to do it, you know. But it was in my mind to do it the most equalize, yeah. Yeah, like equal possible, yeah. Equal, yeah. The most equal as I can, you know. So honestly, I tried to do my best in the position of the men I had. Yeah. Always to include, always in the club. Also, for me, it's really important to have women, and since there is not so many female DJs in the city, yeah. But we used to book like, I don't know, more than, I think we booked more than 20 or 25 women's in the last 3 or 4 years. Mm-hmm. So of course it's not the equal amount, but I repeat, there is not also so many techno DJs who fit in our club. Yeah. So yeah. It is not only a question that the difference between woman and men, that for me it's like completely ridiculous. Yeah. For me it's like we are the same. Of course we are not the same physically, but mindly I think I completely agree that we are the same. So yeah. I can tell you that it's not really easy to find as much as men women's DJs who play the kind of techno that we want to book, you know. Yeah. So we try our best, and I think I do all as much as I can in Barcelona to book women's in the club. Actually, also we book the only transgender DJ, techno DJ who is in city. We book it once. Oh, so
who's that, by the way?
It's Martina. It's called it.
Okay.
Yeah. And she she was in the club last year, I think. No, 2019, I think.
Right. Interesting what you're saying. From your perspective as a booker, it's I think it's important as long as it fits your music, and as a booker, label owner, where you're putting where you're putting together VAs and stuff like that. It is interesting and important, to take that element into account. And obviously, it's logical that the scene is male dominated, because historically it has been like that. But I feel like I've spoken to a couple of people about this. For instance, this collective from Copenhagen that's called Future Female Sounds, and this artist from Berlin called Lucine from Voxnox crew. And they feel like one of the big problems is that women don't really have the role models. You know what I'm saying? Like, of course, you can say Nina Kravitz, Amelie Lenz, Charlotte de Witt, and stuff like that, but they're just on like the absolute unachievable level. But there aren't so many very established producers at maybe your level, or like Insulate, for instance. So they thought, it's important to take this into consideration if you're a booker and stuff like that. And obviously what you're saying, if it fits the sound that you're looking for, because it doesn't make any sense to book someone just based on their gender. You know what I'm saying?
For me, there is no difference. I repeat, I don't give it a shit if you are pretty, if you're ugly, if you're a good DJ, if you're a good musician. I don't give it a shit, if you have a dick or if you have a pussy, it's exactly the fucking same for me. I'm sorry if I speak in these words, but there is like, it's ridiculous to think in another way. And I mean, and I will pay you exactly the same, or I pay you what you value is, you know what I mean? There is no difference for me that you are a woman or you are a man. It's just it's completely the same for me.
Perfect, man. Yeah, no, that's good to hear, man. From a person, maybe in your position that's a booker, that has the opportunity to give that exposure. Like, I think that's the right mentality. You know what I'm saying?
Completely agree.
100%. Okay, so we can start moving on. It's been a long interview. I don't want to steal much more of your time, but I'm really interested in your alias, Lincoln Ray.
Nice.
Right, you've released recently on B as One by Shlomi Abba, isn't it? So I think we can talk about this, right? It's not that secretive.
No problem at all.
So, so can you tell me, about your sound as Flug, Sebastián López, your sound as Lincoln Ray, and then I also know that you've got a third alias that's Pesada, right?
Yeah. Well, the thing is about Lincoln Ray. I started this project just because in the beginning I have so many music. I'm really productive guy in the studio, so I have so much music, and sometimes it's quite similar, but sometimes have something more into minimalistic way, and especially Lincoln Ray. The first thing that I was like looking for, it was to use like less channels. Mm-hmm. So the basic concept behind Lincoln Ray is like no more than 10 channels. It's like this is the thing, and if I have more than 10, I delete channels.
Yeah.
I don't wanna fool the track with things that I don't need. So when I started with this project, especially was because I've been friend from Shlomi from long time ago, and he always wants to release some music of Flug, but he wants to do something more special, because he told me that as Flug, you release in so many labels,
Yeah.
you know, that I want something special.
Right.
And in the beginning, I was not really into it. But then I realized that it was a good opportunity to also release music that I have so much releases a year sometimes,
Yeah.
that I have like 4 or 5 releases a year, that if you put more, you know, it's not more interested anymore, you know.
Yeah,
So I decided to create this Lincoln Ray name because I think that it was the right moment to do it. And especially having the chance to do it along Shlomi, and he created a little bit the sound also, you know. He is like created the sound. It's like a kind of also producing with me. When I finish a track, I send it to him and he say, oh, this is perfect, but maybe you should mute this track and force this one, add some noises here or whatever, you know, what he have in mind. And we create the music together. Mostly of the music is like that, and other tracks I don't need any help and I do it by my own.
Yep.
But sometimes he is a good guy who understand the music in a different way that I used to do, you know. So it's really good to do this project with him, and actually it's a friend, and we are planning to do something together too in the future. So in the end, it's like a good combination. And I always been fan of Shlomi Aber. When I play house and he was more into the tech house style or more groovy techno, I also played his music, so I know him since long time ago. So in the end, this is the concept behind Lincoln Ray. And about Besada, I didn't release anything of Besada yet. I did the mistake to talk about Besada before before do something with Besada. The thing is, I have like a 12 or 15 tracks that fit in that kind of music, and it's like more like German pop, I will say. Like more into moderate, or just to put it in one religion, if you wanna say. So yeah, definitely it's something that maybe in the future we're gonna release, or maybe not. I have no idea what I'm gonna do. During this quarantine, we started another project with a guy. It's also a really nice thing that I'm doing with a friend of from Barcelona. He's a really talented musician, and he have like a lot of tracks finished it, but he wants to doing a character, doing a kind of he needs something who curate the tracks in a way that he don't. Almost the same that Shlomi do with I. I'm doing with this guy now. So this project is more quite similar to Besada stuff. And I really love it. I'm really in love of this project right now. So I'm working on, and maybe Besada we're gonna be part of something that it was in mind but never happened, and we're gonna build something with him. You know, like a kind of a duo band or something together in the future. I have no idea. I'm talking about a future project that maybe I'm doing the same that Besada before. But I have this kind of different things that I'm running right now, and I really love to.
Yeah, that's an interesting concept. Beside, I'm really a big fan of Moderat, of this the German group. So
love it, man.
It's crazy. Looking forward to those releases, man. So just could you describe your sound as Flug, like in one sentence? Like what's the Flug sound?
Well, Flug is powerful, funky, funky, powerful, I can say. Yeah, funky, powerful, man. I like that. I can tell you that I'm not follow any rule. I do what my heart feels in that moment.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's coming something really dark. Sometimes it's something really happy and funky. Sometimes it's something more introspective, and sometimes it's more loopy. Sometimes it's more effective for the dance floor.
Yeah.
Sometimes I have no. I don't want actually to be an artist who can, everybody can put his music in one place.
Right.
You know,
so, yeah.
I really love that eclectic way of my groovies. You know,
Right.
I really like several kind of techno moods right now. And if I feel it, I do it, and if I don't feel it, I don't do it, and that's all. Of course, there is a lot of influence in my music from other artists or from other even from other genres, but I'm always trying to do a powerful, funky music that make you dance, but in the same way I can do music that make you dance and get your mind in a perspective wave, like, I don't know, my track Berlin.
Yeah.
I don't know. There is like many different flukes, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a good way to put it, because it's not classifying, you know, funky powerful. You know what I'm saying? It's not, doesn't fall under only one category. Interesting.
It's hard to define myself in one sentence, because this is exactly what I don't want. You know, it's like what I want. It's like be many sentences, and I prove of that. You know, it's something that I'm when I finalize a track and it sounds with my group, but in a really different way.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That I, for example, the track that I did yesterday is the same essence, but it's completely different track from the track that I want to do tomorrow. You know, it's like, and that's something like, I mean, no repeat yourself all the time is something really hard.
Yeah, 100%.
So in the end, an artist that I release so much music as I do, because I really like to release music, because it's what I really feel.
Yeah.
It's hard to don't repeat yourself. So I try always to do something with the same, that you can say like, this is Flug, but it's not in the same way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a different vibe. Yeah. Good, man. Yeah. It's important, I think, for artists like yourself, you know, to not categorize yourself in a box, you know, to have that flexibility also, if you're feeling a different way, to be able to do all kinds of techno. You know what I'm saying?
You know, I can tell you, for example, Queen, our rock pop band, they did whatever they want, you know, and that's exactly what I feel. You know, they can do disco, they did actually disco, they did like rock and roll, hard rock, pop. They did whatever they want. You know, it's like they feel it, they do it. You know, and it's an incredible feeling when you are an artist, when you try to do something that is not your thing and you do it, and you almost do it well. You know what I mean? That's an incredible feeling. That's something that I really like. When I realized that my music is not my tracks right now, it sounds completely different than the tracks that I do like 10 years after. But still in quality, that's perfect. That's exactly what I want. You know.
Perfect, man. Yeah, that's an interesting perspective, and I think it's the right perspective, you know, to have as a musician. It seems like it's working for you. You know what I'm saying? So congrats on that, bro.
Thank you, man.
Okay, so yeah, to wrap this up, you know, I usually, I wanted to ask you about your tattoos, because I've seen that you've got loads of tattoos. If there's any tattoo that has like a special meaning that you know related to music or something like that?
For me, man, it's like, okay, I need to put a track. Semi-modular analog synthesizer. Okay, let's call this one SMAS. You know what I mean? I know. Not always finding the right name for the for the for the
track,
for the tracks. I just random things, not really thinking about it.
Right.
I don't know. My next release on records, it's called Austral Frames, and it's called like that because I did all the tracks in Argentina when I were in January. I was in Argentina, and I did all the tracks in that trip. So I call it Austral Frames. Of course, because it's coming from Argentina. I call my first release on CLR Synchro Destino because I read a really nice book from Deepak Chopra that it's called Synchro Destino.
Right.
And this book, it's talk about how you build your own future. I mean, what you are doing right now, it's probably the open door for the things that you're gonna do 10 years after. Just you don't know, but it's gonna happen something that maybe it will be connected with this moment. So in the end, I'm pretty sure that these kind of things are connected in some way. So yeah, in that moment was like, why I'm releasing on CLR? Well, it was product of many facts before that I was like building for, you know. So I was like, it was a big step for me in that moment, and I was call it like that because I think it was like the right name for it, you know. But then I have another EP's name that don't make me any difference or don't have any meaning with the music, the moment of the tracks.
Yeah, I've spoken to other producers, you know, that have told me basically the same thing. There's this producer here, Italian, called Giordano. He's released on Soma Records, and he released this this EP called what was it called? The Dynamic of the Human Body or something like that. And I was like, what's the meaning behind that? And he was like, it sounds cool, doesn't it? And I was like, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, 100% understand that, man. Okay, so yeah, just to wrap things up, I just normally ask this silly question, you know, which is if you've got, you know, any crazy party story that you've had as a DJ, you know, at a gig or as a rave attendant or something like that you'd want to, you know, share with us. Don't get into trouble, you know.
Once in Argentina, it was something in between 2002 or 3, something like that, 4, maximum 4, 2000. I don't remember exactly the date, but I was booked by a promoter who do an open air party in the south of the city, and he called me. He called my manager and told her like, hey, you know what? I gonna rent a helicopter, and I will Sebastian arrives to the party in helicopter. And I say, what the fuck is? And I told to my manager, no way, no fucking way, don't. I will not do that. But then finally, I arrives to the party like 2 a.m. in the morning, and the guy was like, telling me like, please, let's do this. I really prepare it, blah, 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 blah. So then they took me to the airport, and they took this helicopter, and they come to the helicopter in the middle of the party, and they will build stairs into the DJ booth. And it was the most ridiculous thing that I ever did in my career. When the helicopter comes to the party, really Argentinian or Italian way, you know?
Yeah.
And the helicopter comes to the party, and I just need to pull down the helicopter and go into the DJ booth to play, and when I start to play, it was like fireworks and all the stuff. And I
Wow.
feel so horrible, you know. But in the same time, was a really nice thing to remember, you know. And actually, it's more fun because my wife family, his sister and his friends, no, his parents for sure, they met me that day, you know. So you can imagine that you met your sister-in-law, that is older than your wife, and she looked at you coming in a helicopter with fire wires, you know. It was like, what the fuck.
Well, that's a good introduction, man.
yeah, for sure. What's crazy, that was the most crazy, I mean, the most crazy that I can talk about.
Exactly. We don't want you getting into trouble and shit, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, fire out, bro. Well, all right, man. Thanks for doing this. As I said, been a fan of the music for a while. Looking forward to that project on records. When's that going to be released, by the way?
Well, now we have like May 14. That's exactly 2 days after. We're gonna release the 2 tracks with a lead Dubfire on drum code LTD. And then on June 14, I think also. It's like a month after, I'm gonna release the EP on records.
Right.
The first part. But then in September or October, it's coming the second part because it's 2 releases.
Okay. So a two-way EP. Nice. Man.
Yeah, nice. I'm really happy about the next releases, and sounds super cool.
Yeah, man, I'll keep an eye for that. So, all right, shout out to Flug, man. Shout out Existentia Musik. Make sure you get on the SoundCloud and go listen to Flug's latest EP, Body Towels, released on Existentia. Keep an eye out, you know, on his new releases on records and Drum Code LTD. Underground Assault, gnarliest podcast in the world. Subscribe to us on YouTube, SoundCloud, Instagram. Thanks, bro, for coming in. Good talking to you. See you next time.
Thank you, man. Thank you for everything.
Thanks for the conversation, bro.
Bye.